I want to give my listeners a warm welcome, and this is a special episode for me because it is the first. May I welcome to you Caitlin Weeks. She is the grass-fed girl, known most in our community as the grass-fed girl. Please, Caitlin, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your health journey.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. It's a pleasure. Well, I was kind of a chubby teenager, chubby kid. I grew up in the South eating Southern comfort food. My grandma took care of me a lot because my parents were divorced. And after my parents' divorce, I was really sad. I ate a lot of biscuits and, mac and cheese and all that kind of stuff. And that was like my comfort. And then when I got older, I learned about yo-yo dieting. And in high school, I was like drinking Diet Coke all day and not eating. And I had some really bad habits that I learned from magazines and, TV. And I thought that I had it all figured out when I went to college, but I gained 25 more pounds in college. And that was really bad. I got up to 240 pounds in college. And I remember walking across the graduation stage and I thought, I don't even want to see anyone. Like I'm proud of myself for graduating, but it was just embarrassing to be that heavy, 240 pounds. I'm 5'8". So that was just like a low point, kind of an aha moment. And I was like, I'm going to lose weight for real this time. I'm away from the college environment. Maybe I can be healthier, not have pizza and beer and everything. And then I did. I lost a lot of weight. I went to Weight Watchers. It was really good for a while. And I learned how to count my calories and count my points and, all that stuff. But then I was like, oh, I'm going to teach everyone this. This is so great. You just count your calories, you lose weight. Yeah, but I was 22, it worked. But for only how long? About 7 or 8 years later, I had actually become a personal trainer and lived in California then. And I had taught all my clients to count calories and lose weight, and they did lose weight. But the thing is, like, is it sustainable? But I didn't know yet what was going to happen. One day I just worked out and my elbow started hurting really bad, and it hurt for like 2 weeks. All I did was like some bicep curls, and it was like so painful. Like it was like there was nails in my elbow for like 2 weeks just from like an 8-pound bicep curl, which, didn't make any sense. And I was like, this is strange. And then like my digestion started going really crazy. Like I was super bloated. It was like I started reacting to everything I was eating. I had rashes. One day I was training my clients and I just threw up in the middle. I had to run to the bathroom because I was like experimenting with a lot of like vegetarian foods and stuff. And like, I think one of them had made me sick. Like I was sprouting plants and all these beans, and like I was trying to be like raw. I don't know. So I was just eating lots of tofu and all this stuff. And I thought I was being so healthy. It was California. I'd learned, about saving the animals and everything, but it was just so bad. And then my husband was like starting to notice. I had gotten married around this time, and my husband was like, you're sleeping all day, every single day. Like I had my clients in the morning, then I would sleep for 5 or 6 hours. Then I had more evening clients because I didn't have a kid or anything. So I would just sleep the entire day. And then the moment I got home from my night clients, I would sleep again. And he was like, something's wrong with you. Like you have no energy. When I was training my clients, I had to sit on a bench or I had to hold the wall, which you don't want to do that when you're being a personal trainer. You want to look like you have some energy. But it hurt. Like my whole body just like ached. The fatigue was so unreal. And finally, I ended up getting some tests at the doctor. I told them I didn't feel well, and they were like, well, you're 30 now.
Yeah,
And
same answer I got.
and I was like, well, I don't know. And then they were like, maybe you should change your birth control. And I was like, I don't think, But then my mom got this list of thyroid tests and she was like, I think you should ask for these tests. And they gave a bunch of pushback on that, but I ended up finally getting the tests run. And I had made a friend who had an office next to the personal training gym, and she was a naturopathic doctor. And I was just lucky that she saw my labs and she said, you know what, I know you have Hashimoto's. She was like, you need to take thyroid medication. And in California, she could prescribe natural desiccated thyroid, which is a prescription in the USA. But in California, they can prescribe it. So I was like, okay. And then within, I mean, night and day, 2 weeks, I was like, I felt 80% better. It was amazing. And this is the kind that's made from animals. It's not a synthetic, which is what most people are given at their doctors. And the problem with synthetic is that a lot of people can't convert it because synthetic is primarily or all T4 medication, but the active form of thyroid is T3. And we have a lot of congestion on our livers and stuff from just a bad lifestyle and pesticides, whatever, and sugar. And anyway, so then when people take the T4, they don't feel very good and they don't understand why. But if they take the animal-based one, then it's much easier because it kind of goes along with our tissues and our natural makeup, and it's easier to digest and everything. So we're able to take the T3 and we feel much better. I mean, if you read, there's a great website for anybody watching called Stop the Thyroid Madness, and almost everyone on there says they feel better on the natural desiccated thyroid rather than the Synthroid or levothyroxine, which is a common standard one that doctors give, because we can't convert the T4 to T3. And I mean, of course, I didn't know all this till years later, but anyway, she gave me the right stuff and I felt amazing. So, and that gave me kind of like a lot more strength to investigate my own situation and like really understand that what I was eating was had a severe leaky gut. Like I just wasn't able to absorb anything, digest anything. And I just kind of shifted to, I was actually in nutrition school at the time, and I started learning about Weston A. Price and the GAPS diet and things like that. And I was really lucky to get that information because it wasn't well known at that time. And so I really gravitated towards that information, and I learned a lot about healing my gut and, introduced like fermented foods and kind of followed more of a paleo-ish kind of diet. And then I really started to understand that I had more insulin resistance or just sensitivity to carbs, and I couldn't digest them very well. And I had a lot of problems like food addiction, sugar addiction. So I just felt so much better whenever I would eat more of a low carb diet. And that I ended up going on like low carb cruise, and I met a lot of people in the low carb. Back then it was called low carb, and then it became called keto. And so I learned a lot about keto, and I did keto for many years. But the thing was about keto is my digestion was still so bad. I was just constipated all the time, and I couldn't ever really get over it. And also on keto, I was eating tons and tons and tons of vegetables because I was still, back then it was like the keto where you were supposed to restrict protein because they said, the protein was going to turn into sugar and stuff. And so I was like eating like, okay, I would eat like 4 ounces of meat, and then I would eat like a head of broccoli or something. And maybe I'd put it in a bone broth and butter and like make it in a soup or something, but I was still eating tons and tons of vegetables, and those two were my favorite, broccoli and cauliflower. I ate those till I'm surprised my head is just not like a cauliflower now. So I thought I was doing like the great thing. And then I just kept complaining to my friends. A lot of my friends are practitioners and stuff. And one of them was like, hey, why don't you try the carnivore diet? I mean, this was like 10 years go by. And I was like, okay, well, I don't think I can do that. I love my broccoli and cauliflower. And she was like, just try it for 30 days. And then like within 24 hours, like the bloating went down and I was like, oh my gosh. And like, it was such a freedom to not restrict like portions and stuff because I'd been eating so I was, that 80s thing, volumetrics. Um, so it's like you eat a plate full of vegetables to fill you up, and then you eat a tiny bit of like protein. And so I think that's kind of what I was doing before. And so when I could actually just fill up on meat and not really worry about calories, she was like, just eat as much as you want, but just don't eat vegetables or plants. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And then I felt so good after 30 days and my digestion was just so much better. I mean, I still have a little bit of slow digestion. I don't want to, I don't want people to I still think there's some issues. I'm not like perfect, but I'm just a lot better. And I just don't like now I know if I eat a bunch of vegetables or lettuce, I feel bad right away. I mean, sometimes I choose to do it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it just sounds good or it's crunchy or whatever. But I can take digestive enzymes. Like I know vegetables make me feel like crap. And I'm like, and I don't crave them or anything, but sometimes if you're in like a restaurant or something and you're just like, oh, or you're on vacation and somebody's like, here's this beautiful salad or something, and you're like, oh, and then you're later that night, you're like, why did I do that? And then, but usually if I take some digestive enzymes, that gets me through. At least I can go back to sleep. I mean, the worst part is when you're up and you have like a heartburn because you ate something you shouldn't have eaten and it's like sitting right here. And, maybe if you're younger and you're watching this, you don't have that. But when you're older, you're like, now I understand why my parents were always like, my dad like slept with a pillow like up under the bed or something. So but anyway, he ate whatever, but anyway, I mean, so so now I just know I have a much better sense of what foods agree with me, what foods don't. I mean, there's a couple foods like I could eat a zucchini or something. Also, if people are new to this, maybe they try cooking their vegetables first. That's a great step in helping. My sister, for example, she was eating so much raw vegetables. And then when she started cooking them, it helped her digestion better. But she also did the carnivore diet a lot too. And she feels best also in the carnivore diet. But if you're scared to start the carnivore diet, just start cooking your food. And that book, Gut and Psychology Syndrome with Natasha Campbell McBride, is really amazing. Like, read that and you will not want to eat, a bunch of raw vegetables anymore. I promise. So, yeah, I mean, that kind of brings me up then about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, I had a baby. And I had been on the carnivore diet for a year and a half when I got pregnant. And I'm a little older, so I mean, I attribute a lot of the great luck I had in my pregnancy. Just I didn't have any problems during my pregnancy. I was so healthy. I felt great. I mean, really, it was only like the last week or two that my back and my feet like started to hurt so bad. But I mean, I had very minimal morning sick. I didn't have any morning sickness. I had like the first 12 weeks I had like some aversion to beef, like the smell. I didn't want to cook it, but like I could eat it if I went through like a drive-through and I got some patties or something, but I didn't want to like be cooking it. It's just like made me feel sick. But I could eat chicken or fish. Like, don't think you always have to eat red meat. If you're not feeling the red meat, you can eat seafood. I ate tons of shrimp, and during my first trimester, I was in Florida for a while and I ate a whole bunch of seafood, and I would eat chicken thighs and eggs. And there's lots of other foods if you're just like not wanting to eat red meat. I know a lot of people want to try the diet and they like live in India or Bangladesh or Pakistan and they don't have a lot of beef there. Like, it's okay, eat the other meats, lamb was really good.
Were you
Lamb,
100% carnivore in your pregnancy? Were you 100% carnivore in your pregnancy?
I was, I did have some fruits a little bit because my sugar cravings were so bad, but I really stayed off the vegetables. And and it was summertime, so it was like super hot. So I kind of was like, that was kind of my cheat food, was the fruits, because it was just really hot and I was really, really big and heavy and and it was super hot. And But I feel like because what people may not know is that fruits have less anti-nutrients than vegetables, so they're easier to digest, and they do have vitamin C and stuff. So it's kind of like a Paul Saladino version of and avocados and stuff. But I mean, it was really just because my sugar cravings were pretty bad. And I thought, well, that's kind of the least worst thing. But I was also very, I didn't eat it every day or anything, but I was very aware of like not getting gestational diabetes. I tested my blood sugar to see how certain foods affected me and stuff. Um, and I talked to my, you do not have to do that glucoa drink that they tell you have to do. I didn't want to do that because I thought, well, I might fail, because I'm not used to ingesting sugar. And so I said, can I just test my blood sugar like 4 times a day and bring you like a log of it? And they were like, sure. I had my baby with the Vanderbilt midwives, which are, they work in conjunction with doctors. Vanderbilt's our big hospital here, but they kind of work on their own office. Like they have their own thing outside of the hospital, and they are really integrative. So they were more, you know, willing to try different things. But if if your doctor's like, it has to be like this, you need to find a new doctor. They need to be open to suggestions or, working with you. And that goes for thyroid health and any kind of autoimmune disease. You have to think out of the box. If they're just like, it has to be this way, you have to be on steroids, you have to be, you need to like, if they say, if this phrase comes out of their mouth, like diet doesn't have anything to do with it, you need to run to your car.
Yes. So, are you still carnivore today, or are you keto mostly?
I mean, I would still say, you know, I'm more carnivore. I mean, there's some days and I'll try a little bit of vegetable or something, but I feel best when I eat only meat. And, when I wake up, like yesterday, I ate only meat all day long and I woke up and I felt way, way better. And so yeah, I mean, I would say I'm carnivore. Carnivore doesn't mean, in the true technical definition, doesn't mean that you never eat anything with plants. It just means that you eat meat. But I would say, I mean, if somebody wants to get super technical, I guess I could say a ketovore because I've tested so many things. So I know like I could eat an avocado and it wouldn't cause. Now, if I eat an avocado with a whole bunch of onions and tomatoes and like that might upset my stomach. Do you know what I mean? But then if I just eat a plain avocado and some fajita meat at a restaurant, I'm okay, but if I go and eat, a whole bunch of salad, then I'm going to be in trouble. So, I mean, I think you have to work with your individual, I think you should get away from the labels as much as listening to your body and like saying, okay, I feel good when I eat this and I don't feel good when I eat this. So I'm going to do this most of the time.
So, yes, I completely agree with that. For me, for example, I cannot eat any plants at this point. That doesn't mean I'm never gonna try to include them again. It's just not now for me. I think my body is still healing. So you are a holistic nutrition coach, right? Or consultant. This probably a weird question when I ask this, but has this conflicted with what you learned in nutrition school? You went to school for this, right?
Yes. I went to Bauman College of Nutrition. It's in Berkeley, California. It's it's not part of like University of California. It is just a small nutrition school that's on its own. But yeah, it definitely did. They had an approach that was called like building diet, which means you get more protein for ailments. Like they did acknowledge that when you are sick or your health is declining, that you need more protein during, and they called it a building phase. So, that was probably the closest thing they had to, meat-based diet. So they did acknowledge that there was a time and a place, but I think almost everyone needs that because our soils are so depleted and we're also toxic and toxic environment and everything. I think we're all need the building part of the diet. But there was a vegetarianish slant there, which I was glad that they introduced in the second year of school. They introduced the Weston A. Price information and the GAPS information. So that was a godsend for me because I really wasn't thriving on the plant-based information. So thank goodness I learned a different way. But what I was going to say about the carnivore diet, whereas you seem to be thriving drinking milk and stuff, I am. So if I eat a lot of milk or egg yolks, even, and sorry, egg whites, maybe I can eat egg, but for the first several years of carnivore, I mean, I just ate so much. I wanted to eat so much dairy and I ate tons and tons of eggs, and both of those seem to be a hindrance for me. And so those kind of like, I actually do better on like an avocado, for example, as a food source. Or, I mean, I can eat egg yolks, but the whites really bother me, especially in excess. And a lot of people are eating excess egg whites, like if they're making that egg white bread or they're doing, so for me, just a little bit of avocado, for example, or like a zucchini or a cucumber or an olive, those things are giving me something, whereas uh, milk blows me up like a balloon in 5 minutes. Like I will gain like 10 pounds from drinking milk or eating cheese. And I've tried A2, I've tried goat, all that. I mean, I ate tons and tons of yogurt and goat products when I was pregnant, and I enjoyed them so much, but I just gained so much weight. And I will still gain so much weight. The only way I can lose weight is to be 100% dairy free. And recently I'm finding that I have to be egg yolk free, egg white free, and I'm pretty much just no eggs. So I'm just eating. The only way I can lose weight is like to eat just 100% meat. It could be fish or chicken or whatever, but it has to be just meat. So if I eat anything else that is not, that is dairy or eggs or cheese, I'm just screwed. And it's very frustrating. But if I think that's probably has to do with my Hashimoto's being, a problem, because a lot of people have Hashimoto's cannot tolerate dairy. And so that's where it's like, I want to do the carnivore foods, but they don't agree with me. So then I'm left with even less options, and
Yes.
it's very frustrating. So, but I'm pretty happy. I mean, I eat chicken wings a lot and I eat steak. I mean, last night I ate over 1 pound ribeye beef for dinner that I got from
Yes.
Costco, and it was delicious. And, my husband loves seafood, so we'll eat a lot of seafood. But yeah, it's frustrating not to eat the raw dairy or the cheese. Everyone's putting cheese on their burgers, and that's makes it's a great fat source, and so I don't get any of that. So I think that's why I try to eat a little. If I do eat a little bit of plants, it's just to give me something, because I can't have the dairy.
Talking about the weight loss, how has this diet helped you with your weight loss? Like, where did you start and what is it now?
So when I started out, I mean, it's been kind of all over the place, but when I started out on the carnivore diet, I was like a size 14, and then I got down to like a size 10, and that was when I got pregnant. So I lost about 20 or 25 pounds, but I swear it's almost like it seems more, because I think you retain more muscle when you lose weight on the carnivore diet rather than doing like a low fat diet or calorie counting diet. So it felt like more, and I felt more solid rather than just a skinnier version of myself, So, and then when I got pregnant, I gained 50 pounds. So I was really heavy when I had my baby
Wow.
then. I think I lost like 20 pounds like 25 pounds before I even came home from the hospital. So it was mostly fluid.
Yes.
And then lately, I mean, I've gotten down to like a size 12, and so it's been hard, really hard since, because I nursed for 3 years. I was not sleeping for 3 years because my son, we
Because of
co-sleep,
your son, yes.
and he just wanted to nurse the entire night, every single night for, I mean, why not, I mean,
Yes, exactly.
I'm right there. So, finally, when he was about to be 3, we weaned, and my husband slept with him for like a week straight. I didn't go in the room. I just stayed out of the room because I knew it was too tempting for him to, but he likes sleeping with somebody. So my husband slept with him for 7 days. And I knew if I got my husband involved, he wouldn't let me backslide, So, so I was like, okay, 7 days, no contact at night, and then it worked. I was like, because I really didn't know how to stop. It was so easy for us. It was so natural for us. It was really difficult to stop. And that kind of intervention was, I mean, I was ready to stop, but I just didn't know how. And then that really helped. And so he kind of forgot about the boobies. And then, so that's been almost a year ago now. And then, so I feel like I'm getting more sleep in the last year than I have in the
That's
first
good.
3 years of my pregnancy. So I've started to like put my brain cells back together and focus more on myself. And that's when I've been doing more of the completely dairy-free, figuring out the egg thing. And it is working. It's very slow, but it's working. So now I'm back in my summer clothes. I'm like wearing a 12, and
And you look great.
thank you. I mean, it's not easy. I'm a big boned, kind of person. My dad, if you don't know, I mean, a little bit more about my history, my dad had gastric bypass at age 50. So I have a lot of people in my family that are obese. It's very common in the South to be very obese. So I think like for me, I'm not doing this to try to be, a waif and size 2 and whatever, or I'm just trying to avoid obesity. I mean, I went to this
Yes,
event the other
it is
night. I mean,
needed.
it was really sad. Like, uh, now there's this movement about accepting fatness or whatever it's called now. And there was all these young girls. And I mean, it made me really sad because I mean, yeah, I'm not skinny. But I can shop in regular stores and I can wear pretty normal clothes, and I feel okay in like a sleeveless top or whatever, but like, and shorts, my legs aren't that bad. Like I want to wear shorts and stuff. Some people, they want to cover up everything. I'm comfortable when I go out. I mean, I'm not young, not that young, so I'm comfortable with myself. But anyway, which comes with age, as you would know also. But these young girls are out there 25 and they're like Instagrammers and stuff, and I mean, I feel like they're going to miss out on a lot of things in life because I mean, a lot of them were 250 pounds to 300 pounds or more, and they're like, just accept me the way I am. And I do. Yes, you should love yourself no matter what your size. But part of loving yourself is what you eat and how you
Keeping your
treat
body
yourself. I
healthy.
mean, I used to binge eat, and I used to um, binge drink, and these things were making me very, very unhappy, and I didn't love myself. That wasn't loving myself. Now fixing myself a huge ribeye, and that is loving myself. That
Yes.
is caring what I put in my body. And you eat not for pleasure, or not only for pleasure, but how you're going to feel after. And I think that's the difference. And I mean, that is empowering in and of itself. And I just wish, I just don't want these girls to miss out on like a lot of things, because that can affect your fertility. If you can't control your weight, you have PCOS and all this stuff, you might never have a baby. I mean, it's really scary. Like the health is going down of the young people, and then they're just told to take all these medications, and it's just this vicious spiral. And it's just sad because like when I was younger, I did lose weight, and it helped me at least socially. And then later on, I'm getting my health, not just trying to be thin, but I'm trying to be healthy. And I have the most perfect lab work like you wouldn't believe, compared to people like my parents or other people, I might not look as skinny as somebody else, but I have perfect blood sugar and, I mean, even my doctor, I had go to an integrative nurse practitioner and she was like, when I look at your lab work, I see somebody who has committed to a long-term lifestyle change, she's like, that's what I can see in your lab work. Whereas so many other people, like they just do something for a week or a month and then, but you can really see it, especially like in your A1C, which is a 3-month rolling average of your blood sugars. So it's really
That's good that
important.
she sees that. A lot of other health practitioners would be on your case for your diet.
I mean, I don't beat them over the head with it. If it comes up, I mean, they do know me because they like follow me on social media because they're also on social media. But um, but other doctors, like when I was pregnant, I just said I eat low carb because I felt like that word is less triggering than carnivore, and like, or I just say I eat a lot of protein or something. Like stick with those kinds of words because you don't want your doctor to flip out on you. And you don't want them to think you're a total weirdo freak or, it may just be time to cut ties with that doctor if you really don't feel like you can talk to them. But I think those words go better than, hey, I don't ever eat one single vegetable in my life. That's gonna make them upset, So
Unless your doctor is Dr. Chafee, maybe. He'd be applauding you.
yeah, if you want to fly to
think,
Perth and have Dr. Chafee as your doctor, then
yes. I think I was lucky with mine. She actually didn't even, she said, well, we're gonna maybe order blood work here, which I haven't done yet, and it's been a year, but she's been pretty good with it. So I'm
oh,
gonna have to
good.
refresh
That's
that
good.
sometime. Okay, so the Carnivore Ninja podcast is actually about athletes mostly. I know you're not a professional athlete. That is okay. Have you ever, before you went on this diet and now while you're on it, done any athletic things, maybe weightlifting? And can you tell a difference if you did?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think like the biggest aha moment for me was like when I first got to San Francisco, I saw this ad in the paper and it was like, come to personal training school and get in the best shape of your life. And um, it
Yeah,
was like
right.
either
They all
go,
say that.
yeah, it was like either go get an office job, which I'm not the kind of person who can sit at a desk. I mean, like right now, even it's like bothering me to sit here at the in this chair. But the I saw that ad in the paper and I was like, back in the paper, and they were like,
We're
so I
old.
went and that day, like it was a Friday and I think I went back the next Monday and I paid my money. I called my grandma and she gave me the money to go to personal training school. I was just lucky they actually had an in-person school. Most people do that online and stuff, but we would study in the morning and then we would do workouts right after the study part. And we did them all together. We would train each other and it was so much fun. And that was the first time like I had my body fat measured and all that stuff. And just that first month when he took our body fat at the beginning of the month and then like at the end of the month and like to see your body fat going down and to take that focus off the scale I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like muscle is amazing stuff. And I would teach that to my clients all the time later. I was just like, stop focusing on the scale. Just focus on the inches, focus on the body fat measurements. And this was old school. Like we had the calipers and everything. And then later they came out with that thing you like hold in front
The
of you,
caliper?
well, they had the calipers, but then they came out with like the it was called an Omron.
Oh,
And that
yes,
was
I remember that one.
and so we had that one. It wasn't all that accurate, but it would show kind of a trend downward. And so my clients like that. And along that time when I was getting really sick, and this sort of put me off cardio, and I mean, maybe some of your listeners can relate uh I did 2 half marathons in San Francisco and I was following kind of low fat diet. I was doing like the goos and I was like
The
sucking down
gel.
the,
Yeah.
I would really bonk. I would hit the wall and I would just I mean, it was like you get dizzy and
So
everything, and
familiar.
you'd
Yep.
have to suck those stupid things in your body, and then you could start running again. I mean, that shows you how dependent I was on the glucose. It was just unbelievable. And then, so I did 2 of those, and I think that really like put the nail in the coffin of my sickness. And so uh, when I learned about that, I really took a break from all that cardio and stuff because I think I was just so malnourished, and I was trying to do that without eating meat, and it was a really bad combination. So I kind of got off the running thing, but I did do 2 half marathons. And it was beautiful, especially that's a beautiful place to do lung cardio because
Yeah.
it's by the water and everything. But really did a number on my health. So since then I just focus, I do maybe now like 3 or 4 days of weight training, and I just do like 30 minutes of weight training. And um, I try to do heavier, like I do the hack squat machine and things um, but like one day I did not too long ago, I tried to like do a heavier deadlift. And then of course I pulled my back for like a week, and I was like, ah, so it's really challenging to, you try to do more, but then you hurt yourself. And so it's like, you have to find a little bit of balance. And but I still love weights, and I do them every chance I get. My gym has 2 hours of free daycare, so I try to go and do that and enjoy that with my kids. So
That's
that's
great.
my because I also want to be an example. I don't want my kid, his dad was a big swimmer, and he also was into soccer. He's from another country,
Well,
so that's a big soccer country, and uh so we're trying to get him in. We've done him soccer, and we got him into swimming, and he can swim. He is not even 4. He can swim all the way down an Olympic-sized pool without a life jacket.
wow, that's
So
crazy. So is he
he,
also on a ketovore or carnivore diet?
I mean, I would say it's more kind of paleo-ish. I always try to lead with the protein, and I don't feed him grains. I mean, if he gets a little bit of like gluten-free bread or something, I don't like freak out. But like I try to always lead with the meat and the eggs he and cheese and yogurt and stuff like that. I always like focus on all that first. And then if he eats a little bit of junk or something, but I'm really careful about food dyes. I think food dyes are horrible for children. And I try to minimize his sugar. Like I try to find lower, if something's like a snack, I try to find like a lower sugar version or something without, um, those food colorings are just the worst. And I mean, I try to read all the ingredients. It's really difficult. They they
On
greenwash
everything.
foods for kids just as much as everything else. So you have to read everything, and I try to minimize packaged foods altogether because but it's difficult. Like for the other day, we went to something and there was little bags of goldfish everywhere for the kids. And so the whole time I'm like arguing with him and like trying to get away from him. He's picking
Yeah.
up them off the floor. He's getting them from other kids. It's like, it's this battle, and you're like, how much am I going to push it? How much am I going to fight with him about goldfish? It's like, but like I try to buy him like something like a simple Mills cracker, something with less crap in it. I just try
I
to
don't
minimize the
I don't
bash.
want to terrify you, but I have a teenager and you will get to the point where you can't influence that no more.
Yeah.
My son's not on a carnivore diet, but he's majorly eating eggs and bacon in the morning. But when he gets to other places, like let's say his dad or let's say birthday party somewhere, he will eat other stuff or school.
Yeah.
So you will come to a point where they have to make their own experiences. I preach it at home though, so he knows.
Yeah. Well, I think the most you can hope for also is just they see you as an example, and like later on they will return to it, if they
Yes,
see, because they know that's what real food is. Um and they'll know that they'll have it as like a backbone of a memory in their mind. So they'll
absolutely.
come back someday.
Absolutely. I strongly believe that. I think you started your son out the right way, though. Mine did not start like that. Mine started with cereal and all because we were all brainwashed. So I mean, I found this last year through a coincidence. And funny enough, the gentleman who brought me onto the carnivore diet went to the same Ninja Warrior gym than me. I met him there. Had I never gone in, I would have never met him.
That's amazing.
After a few months on the carnivore diet, he is not going to this ninja gym anymore. So it was almost like we were supposed to meet for him to move on and for me being saved, so to speak.
That's amazing.
That's great. But yeah, anyways, I don't want to steal from your time or anything. So we're pretty much almost to an end. Your story is a very interesting story. If people would like to find you, how can they find you?
I'm on Instagram at grassfed girl, GRASSFED girl. And then in YouTube is also grassfed girl, the grassfed girl. And yeah, those are the main ones that I do. I have a blog, it's grassfedgirl.com. And
I like the name.
yeah. And I mean, I don't eat exclusively grass-fed anymore. I had that name for many, many years. But I think all meat is, grass-fed for most of its life. So it still applies. And it's, kind of like eat your meat first. There you go.
How long have you been on the diet? I never asked that.
Well, I started October 2018.
That is a long time.
I got pregnant in December of 19.
Yes.
And then so in this October will be, I guess, 6 years of following a carnivore lifestyle.
Wow, that is great. That is absolutely amazing. So what would you like to say to my listeners who are still on the fence on if they want to try this diet?
I mean, I just feel like, there's so many things you can try that cost like a fortune or risk your health, like these diet drugs and stuff that are out now. But they're not going to clear up your skin. They're not going to heal your leaky gut. They're not going to stop your autoimmune disease. Like, and some people get so hung up on the calories. Is this just a calorie deficiency? But I wouldn't be in remission for my Hashimoto's if it was just a calorie deficiency.
Do you think it's calories in, calories out? Do you believe in that?
No, because I think I eat way more calories than I ever did when I was doing different sorts of diets. I probably eat more calories now than I ever did. And I've lost weight in the last few months. So it's just more about what I eat rather than the calories. So as long as I eat the carnivore foods or the meats, for me, it's just the meats, then I'm good. I can eat literally as much as I can possibly put in my stomach and I will not gain weight. But if I eat other things, then I will. So the calorie to me is just so, I mean, that's so passe. It's just not even a thing. So and the only way you can understand it is to try it. And, there's no study. You just have to put your why out there. My why was to keep my autoimmune diseases. I only have one now, but I didn't want to get more. So I want to keep them at bay. Also, like I said, to avoid chronic obesity that is in my family. I didn't want to get gastric bypass surgery. I didn't want to get, I don't want to go on Ozempic or any of that stuff. Like, I don't want to be a statistic, so I want to be changing the narrative. So I mean, just do it for 30 days. What have you got to lose? You're not going to die in 30 days of eating meat. You're going to feel better and then you can decide. Don't look at the rest of your life. Just do the 30 days and then you can decide. Every day is a new day. You can make a new decision, but just see how you feel. And, I made that decision 5 years ago and I'm still waking up and deciding to eat carnivore. So you can do it too.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much for joining my show today. I hope everyone enjoyed this little interview with Caitlin Weeks, aka the Grass-Fed Girl. And please like and subscribe if you like this video. If you would like to email me, it's thecarnivoreninja@yahoo.com. And so long, have a happy weekend, everybody.
Thank you so much.